Welcome, everyone, to the Tethys Shipyards. I am Takeshi Yamato, the Yardmaster, joining our host, the Housecoat Gamer.
Yo.
We're continuing our look at boats from Utopia Planitia that are slightly off compared to what they should be, but this one's a bit more off than it should be. We're looking at the Norway this time. Now, for book stats. Launch year 2371. I suppose that could work, aside from the registry code issue, but that's not the big problem with this. Primary shipyards: Tycho City Slips on Luna, Yoyodyne Propulsion Systems Proxima Centauri, Lagrange Slips in Denobula. Overview. The Advanced Starship Design Bureau at Earth Space Dock designs and produces prototypes every year for Starfleet to consider for active service. One area they saw Starfleet lacking in was rapid medical emergency responders. Design and production of the Norway-Class starship began in 2369. The ASDB gave its design a compact wedge-shaped hull with the engineering section located in the aft portion of the ship. The first two vessels of the class were launched in early 2371, USS Norway and USS Finland, both of which took part in repulsing the Borg incursion of the Sol system in 2373. The success of the two vessels there showed Starfleet that the design had capabilities as a generalized cruiser as well, and approved the design to be produced at all Federation shipyards. Capabilities. As it was originally intended as an emergency response vessel, the Norway-Class has extensive personnel transporters, an expanded sick bay, and biological science facilities to handle wounded and to research viral and bacterial infections. The space frame also includes a shuttle bay capable of handling two Type 6 shuttlecraft in a ready launch setup, and a shuttle elevator providing access to a maintenance bay that typically holds at least two other shuttles of various models. Large cargo bays on the dorsal section of the starship allow significant amounts of material to be brought to a needed area, but the ASDB also included two tractor beam emitters above the shuttle launch bay that will allow small cargo containers to be tossed between the vessel's towed between the vessel's warp nacelles while under power in case internal cargo bays aren't adequate. Refits and variants. The ASDB has proposed a single refit program for the vessel to extend through the end of the 24th century that includes expanding and improving the vessel's isolinear computer cores with extra subspace field buffers to accelerate computing speeds. Suggested mission profiles are Crisis and Emergency Response, Multi-Role Explorer, and Scientific and Survey Operations. Naming conventions. Norway-class vessels are typically named after regions of Federation member worlds from their Arctic regions. Point Barrow, Shritan, and Tristanov's Dream are all examples.
Budapest.
Yup. Space frame stats. Descriptor trait, Federation starship. Systems, scale 4. So 57 points. Systems values are comms 9, computers 9, engines 10, sensors 10, structure 10, weapons 9. 30 plus 27 makes 57, so that works. Department value modifiers are 1 point in engineering and 2 points in medicine. Talents are advanced sick bay and emergency medical hologram. Special rule, backpacking. Norway-class vessels can tow cargo containers while at warp between their widely spaced nacelles. The extra equipment and supplies this provides produce the advantage, we have that, in scenes where the Game Master feels these extra supplies and parts could come in handy. While towing these cargo containers, all con tasks have their difficulty and complication range increased by 1 to represent the difficulties in keeping the cargo containers secure. Failure on these tasks could be resolved by loss of the containers or damage to the vessel. And that's the book stats. Take it away, Ron. We know this is going to be a doozy.
This is going to be infuriating. 1. Registry codes. Let's start with the obvious. USS Budapest, NCC 64923.
Yeah.
Where does that place that, Take?
Late 2350s. Well, somewhere in the 2350s.
I'm going to say 2355. Shortly before the Galaxy-Class was introduced.
Yeah.
Because the Galaxy-Class happens to be the benchmark for every single starship introduced in this fricking series.
Now, the role. A rapid medical emergency responder. As I put it, basically, according to the book, this would be the ambulance to the Olympic-class hospital. So limited medical. So while it would have advanced medical capabilities, those would be limited compared to mainly just keeping patients alive until they could get to better medical facilities, either at an Olympic or at a starbase.
There's just one massive problem. The size.
Yeah.
It's
Even
like people don't realize that ships are not just empty shells. There are corridors, there are EPS conduits, there are numerous other things that have to be inside for a starship to just work.
Yeah. If this had the intended role that the book says, I would say that it could have a medical capacity of 50 patients tops. Probably a lot less.
I would say it could barely support 20 people at most, due to the size of the ship and its small crew complement. This vessel was designed for one thing, and one thing only. To take up the same duties of the Miranda-class light cruiser. Generally, patrol, heavy patrol, general logistics, that sort of thing. Now, I don't have a problem with the fact that it can tow a cargo pod between those widely spaced nacelles. There is precedent for that with the Ptolemy-class. But a medical ship? This thing is too small to have any more than 1 or 2 sick bays at most. Hell, I think it barely has enough room for 1 sick bay.
Yeah.
If it took any serious casualties, everybody would have to be treated in the shuttle bays.
Yeah.
Now, again, I don't have a problem with it towing a cargo pod. It's a perfect reference to the Ptolemy class. That said, this is not an ambulance.
No.
It's a general-purpose cruiser. Which just
So
so happens to be a little bit biased towards towing cargo pods and being Mr. Lodgy. And I happen to like Mr. Lodgy.
Yeah. So, let's fix this, shall we? First things first.
General stats are fine, just Remove one
Take
or 2 points, depending on...
yeah, yeah. We'll need to take away 2 points. We've got comms 9, computers 9, engines 10, sensors 10, structure 10, weapons 9. So, computers 8. I'm not sure this thing would be able to house that large a computer core.
Well, considering her role is basically to just sit inside Federation space and protect it, I don't see any reason for it to have any more than 1 computer core and maybe 1 secondary backup. That is kind of crappy.
Yeah. And I'm thinking maybe drop sensors to 9.
She may not be the prettiest boat, but she is decent enough.
Yeah. Now we get to the department modifiers. Because we're not treating this thing as an ambulance, those 2 points in medicine have got to go.
Security and engineering.
1 point in security, 2 points in engineering?
Yep. Engineering is logi. What is logi?
Logi is life. And let's see. Phaser arrays, photon torpedoes, strength 3 tractor beam. Alright, first up, get rid of advanced sick bay, get rid of emergency medical hologram. For the first one, it's not an ambulance anymore. And for the second one, this thing, the emergency medical hologram debuted on the Intrepid. 2371. This thing is too early for that now.
It can be retrofit onto it after that point, but
it's still not a medical ship.
After 2371, I think every single ship has an emergency medical hologram. It's just people don't like using them. Case in point, Beverly Crusher.
Yeah.
I swore I'd never use one of these things.
Yeah.
Uses them against the Borg.
Yeah. So, let's see. I'm thinking for the Logi role, high power tractor beam.
Very high power tractor beam. And if you had this thing alongside a Saber-Class...
Yeah. So,
actually,
that increases...
that'd be pretty awesome. The ships were designed to operate together.
So that increases the strength of the tractor beam from 3 to 5. Now, I'm thinking of 1-to-1 substitutions, so 1 more talent.
The ship is pretty rugged.
Rugged design?
Yep. I mean, look at it. It is simple, easy.
Yep. Designed with durable construction and easy access to critical systems that allow repairs to be made easily. I'd say that works.
Well, she is the last gasp of the Ambassador era. Before anybody makes any stupid comments, just look at the nacelle design.
Yep. And now we go to the 25th century version of this thing, the Valdre. Side note, whoever decided to make the Valdres a carrier needs to be shot!
I can see this thing having room for 6 shuttlecraft. 6. Not squadrons of fighters. Just 6. With no backups.
Yeah.
Though, in a pinch, she probably could fit 8. So, maybe if you want to make her a fighter tender, go ahead. But, a tender is not a carrier.
Yeah.
Regardless, Valdres. I'm actually going to have to look up the term the word Valdres.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a city in Norway.
Oh, that works.
So Valdres starships can be named after fjords. Fjords,
Cities.
generally northern themed stuff. Anyway, lore. While the Norway-Class had performed her role generally well during the Dominion War, well, Starfleet decided that the class had some shortcomings, all of which were due to her tactical inflexibility. After all, she was designed logi first, combat second. The Valdres went in the complete opposite direction. Designed more for combat, with a secondary logistical role, which, ironically, she can actually perform far better than her ancestor, due to her larger size. She can actually fit 2 cargo pods between those nacelles, and a third above the ship. The esoteric science of warp drive. It just keeps getting stranger with every generation.
Yep.
Regardless, the Valdres class was not, while tested during the late 24th century, did not enter mass production until after the Iconian War. We can guess why.
Yeah.
And even then, the Valdres prototype had to undergo such refurbishment that it basically didn't... that while it left the yard looking completely unchanged, internally, she was basically brand new. So there will be no prototype production variant here. It's all the same.
Yep.
And the ship performs its roles very perfectly well. Armed with photon and quantum torpedoes, phaser cannons, phaser arrays, and of course, able to tow a lot of cargo. So much cargo that if a Valdres appears, it is said that some Starfleet captains look at the ship and go, "Ah, the meat train." Because that's basically what she is. A pack mule.
Yeah.
A pack mule with guns.
Yeah. Alright. So, 24/11, giving this thing a 24/11 launch date. And let's see, back to the Norway. There we go. First, let's see, 9, 8, 9, 9, 57, 27, 47, 55. We got 5 more points we can put into this thing. First things first, we'll bring it back up to book stats. Computers 9, sensors 10. That gives us 3 more points to work with.
1 point in power, 2 points in weapons.
Alright, so engines 11, weapons 11. Department modifiers. Our original version was 2 points in our Norway variant is 2 points in engineering, 1 point in security. Swap those around?
Keep them the same. She's still a logistical boat at heart.
She's just armed with more guns.
You could think of her as a Q ship in a way.
Right.
Sure, she's mostly hauling cargo. But if you try and poke her, she's going to kill you.
Yeah. Weapons, phaser rays, phaser cannons, photon torpedoes, quantum torpedoes, strength 5 tractor beam. Hey, as you said, Logi, she's probably going to be carrying quantum torpedoes anyway to supply people.
She probably
Why
even
not?
has the manufacturing facilities for them on board.
Yep.
With increased crew automation, there's some room for foundries.
Yep.
Just not enough for shuttlecraft. Shuttles are
Yep.
bulky.
Yep. And talents are the same as our version of the North. High power tractor beam and rugged design. And of course, it still has backpacking. Because as Ron said, this thing has plenty of room between the nacelles and above the ship for cargo.
Kind of reminds me of the cargo version of the Suspicious class from Klingon Academy.
Right.
What can I say? I love things that make sense.
And our revised lore for the Norway and the Valdres makes sense. Making this thing an ambulance or a carrier does not. I mean, look at where the shuttle bays are on this thing. They're on the underside.
Not only that, they run around the rim of the ship.
Yeah, I mean, I can also see what looks like a door on the bottom. On the bottom of the hull. Go back to a ventral view. You see the ship name and registry code there?
Yep, I see it.
That could also double as a hatch in the way the Defiant shuttle bay works. But still,
That would probably be more a open docking port for supply dumps.
fair enough.
Kind of reminds me of the Jupiter-class Battlestar in that way.
Ah.
People are no doubt probably going to be equating that to my run of Battlestar Galactica Fleet Commander.
Yep.
Anywho.
Descriptor trade, Federation, Starship still. No need for anything else. So that is the Norway and the Valdres. We got one more boat to cover here, folks. And it's not quite as bad as the Norway was, but the date is still off. And so
And
it's
we're
gonna be
gonna have to cover a recent event in STO history.
yeah.
Bye-bye.